What happens after blindness? Not after vision loss, not after learning the cane, not after screen readers, not after adaptation. I mean after all of it, after the final chapter. After this life is over. For most of my life, I never thought much about that question. But when you begin losing your sight, you start thinking about vision differently. You start noticing things other people take for granted: a sunset, a face, a photograph, the ability to glance across a room and instantly understand where you are. And sometimes you wonder what happens when all that disappears. Does it simply end, or is there something more? Then I stumbled onto a study and a book that completely changed how I thought about that question. And honestly, I haven't stopped thinking about it since. Hey everybody, this is Bobby from Blind Inspirations, the channel where we explore vision loss, adaptation and resilience, and sometimes questions that don't have easy answers. If you enjoy these conversations, please consider subscribing. Every subscriber helps us reach more people living with vision loss, their families, their friends, and the professionals who support them. Now let's talk about something fascinating, something controversial, something hopeful. Let's talk about vision after death. Several years ago, I discovered a book called Mindsight. The authors were Kenneth Ring and Sharon Cooper. The book was published in 1999, and the premise immediately grabbed my attention. The authors investigated reports from blind individuals who experienced near-death experiences or out-of-body experiences. Some of these people had lost vision later in life. Others have been blind since birth. But what caught my attention wasn't simply that they had near-death experiences. Millions of people have reported those. What caught my attention is what many of them claimed happened during those experiences. They reported seeing, not imagining, not dreaming, not remembering old visual memories, seeing, at least according to their descriptions. As somebody gradually losing their vision, that got my attention very quickly. Because whether you're blind, low vision, or somewhere in between, there's a question that occasionally sneaks into your mind. What would I see if I could see again? Ring and Cooper interviewed 31 blind participants. Some were congenitally blind, others became blind later in life, like me. According to their findings, approximately 80% reported some form of visual perception near death experience. Now, let's be very careful. This was not a massive clinical trial. It wasn't thousands of participants. It wasn't a laboratory experiment. It was a relatively small case series. The study raises questions. It doesn't answer all of them. And that's important, because I don't want to oversell the science, but I also don't want to ignore something simply because it doesn't fit neatly into existing explanations. The reality is, the reports were intriguing enough for researchers to take them seriously. And more than 25 years later, people are still discussing them. What's even more interesting, there's not been a huge wave of follow-up research specifically focused on blind individuals having visual experiences during near-death experience. In many ways, the questions remain open. Another group in this research consisted of people who had lost some or all of their vision during their lives. And honestly, this is the group I found myself thinking about the most. Imagine slowly losing your sight over years or even decades. Then imagine having a near-death experience and suddenly reporting clear vision again. Some accounts describe vivid colors. Some describe remarkable clarity. Some even describe perceptions that seem to extend beyond ordinary vision itself. Now, whether those experiences were spiritual, neurological, psychological, or something else entirely, I don't know. But I find the idea absolutely fascinating. Because what would that be like? What would it be like to spend years adapting to vision loss and then suddenly experience a world that appears sharp, vivid, and completely open, and then return back to your everyday life, back to the visual limitations you've known for years? How would that affect you? How would it change the way you think about vision, about consciousness, about life itself? I don't know the answers, but I can't help wondering what that experience must have been like for the people who reported it. Must have been a trip. Imagine never seeing a sunrise, never seeing a face, never seeing a color, never seeing your own reflection. For most of us, vision is something we take for granted. But some of the individuals interviewed had little or no functional vision and had never experienced sight in a conventional sense. Yet during their near-death experiences, some reported something remarkable. They described seeing, not remembering sight, not imagining sight, but experiencing visual awareness for what they believed was the first time. Some described shapes, others described people. Some reported colors and spatial relationships. Researchers Kenneth Ring and Sharon Cooper were particularly interested in these cases because they raised difficult questions. If a person has never had visual memories to draw from, how do they describe visual experiences during a near-death experience? Could these descriptions be constructed from language and imagination? Could they represent some other form of perception translated into visual terms after the experience? Or do they point to something we do not yet understand about consciousness itself? Ring and Cooper did not claim to have all the answers, but they believe these accounts deserve some serious consideration and further study. Whether you view these as spiritual, neurological, psychological, or something else entirely, they remain among the most fascinating reports in near-death research. This is one of the reasons MindSight continues to be discussed decades after it was published. The stories challenge us to ask a profound question. Can awareness exist independently of the physical eyes? And if a person who has never seen can report visual experiences during a near-death event, what does that tell us about the relationship between consciousness and the brain? We don't know, but the question remains. And for many people, that question's every bit as fascinating as the answers we continue to search for. If you live with vision loss, as I do, you know what it's like to wonder what the future holds. You know what it's like to worry about what you'll lose next. You know what it's like to stare into uncertainty. But here's what these stories did for me. They gave me hope. Not certainty, hope. Because there's a difference. Hope says, maybe there's more. Maybe blindness doesn't tell the entire story. Maybe our current understanding doesn't capture everything. Maybe the final chapter isn't as dark as we imagine. And honestly, that's enough for me. I don't know what happens after death. Nobody does. I don't know whether the people in these studies experience something spiritual, something neurological, or something else entirely. But the stories left me curious, and if there's one thing you should know about me by now, I am a curious person. Curious about consciousness, curious about perception, curious about how much we still don't understand. And maybe that's the real value of stories like this. Not that they give us answers, but they remind us that there are still questions worth asking. Because sometimes curiosity leads to discovery, and sometimes discovery changes the way we see the world. Maybe the story doesn't end with blindness after all. Maybe one day we will all see clearly again. I'm Bobby, this is Blind Inspirations, and I'll see you in the next one.